Hello everyone, today is still 16th of July. Now it's 4:30 in the afternoon Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my second update for the day, in which I will share at least some of the news that was reported by Russian media since my first update. Hopefully you will find this video interesting and useful, and if you can, while you are watching or listening, please click that like button. More likes and comments may help to influence algorithm in a positive way, so that maybe video will end up in recommendations and more people will watch it. And before I start, also let me remind you, if I may, that I'm trying to become more active on Twitter or Twitter X. Recently, this is my second or third attempt to find out how this platform is working, Twitter. I know there is a potential there for this small media project of mine, and therefore I want to be active. For example, today I shared quite a number of posts, as you can see, and if you have a Twitter account, please subscribe to my page. You can see a link under this video in description box or in the pinned comment, link to my Twitter X account. So yes, that's been said. Let's talk about news now. And first of all, this report from RT that Kremlin responds to Zelensky's new peace summit proposal. The Kremlin has responded to reports that Moscow could be invited to participate in new Ukraine peace summit. I reported about this in my previous updates, that Zelensky spoke about inviting Russia. And there are some high-ranking officials in US already reacted on this Zelensky's proposal positively, and now Kremlin's reaction. So the goals and agenda of such an event are unclear. Spokesman of the Russian president, Dmitry Peskov, has stated by commenting on this topic, noting that the previous Western-backed event in Switzerland made no progress in resolving the crisis. Speaking to the Russian TV channel Zvezda on Tuesday, Peskov responded to Vladimir Zelensky's view that Russia's representatives should be at the second summit this autumn. The spokesman suggested, Peskov suggested, that the first such event, which took place in Switzerland in June, and to which Russia was not invited, was by no means a peace summit. Therefore, it is probably necessary to first understand what Zelensky means. The Swiss-hosted event focused on 3 points of Vladimir Zelensky's peace formula, including prisoner exchange, nuclear security, and food supplies. And by the way, when it comes to first point, prisoner exchange, we all know, and I reported about it, that Zelensky's regime is refusing to conduct exchange of POWs. They are demanding, Zelensky's regime is demanding basically Azov neo-Nazi formation members to be released first of all, and Moscow is disagreeing on that, for understandable reason. Moscow can exchange ordinary POWs, ordinary soldiers or officers, on soldiers under officers. Neo-Nazis are not included, as far as I understand. On the second point, on nuclear security, we all know that Zelensky's regime is on regular basis conducting attacks on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. And therefore, obviously, Zelensky and his associates cannot be taken seriously. And when it comes to food supplies, well, there was a grain deal in force some time ago, isn't it? And Russian high-ranking officials stated several times on several occasions that Kiev regime is using this grain deal vessels that are participating in a grain deal to launch drone attacks, maritime drone attacks on Russian military assets. And also, Western masters of the Zelensky and his criminal associates did not fulfill their obligations through that deal. And nothing has changed since then. Western ruling class did not fulfill whatever obligation they took on themselves when that first grain deal was signed, agreed by sides. So this Swiss formula, this Swiss so-called peace conference, was doomed to fail from the very beginning. It was just too obvious, not just for reasons that I already mentioned, but because for foundation, organizers of that summit, so-called summit, choose so-called Zelensky's peace formula, which is, as I said many times before, is a non-starter for Moscow. And Russian high-ranking officials were very clear about it. And it seems like the second so-called peace formula that Zelensky is talking about will be based also on Zelensky's peace formula. So why would Russia spend any time on that, really? Peskov did not say that Russia is completely not interested in that, in this particular comment, but we have many statements from high-ranking Russian officials previously when they were saying that Russia is not interested to participate in any event where basement for negotiations will be the so-called peace formula from Zelensky. So it is what it is. We have a statement from Dmitry Peskov, and this statement is also quite skeptical that Russia will participate, because he said, first of all, we have to understand what the hell they even mean by this so-called peace summit, because first one in Switzerland, there is no way can be called that peace summit. RIA Novosti is also reporting that according to Bloomberg, Western media outlet, obviously, Trump may become more critical towards Kyiv regime under influence of Vance, his running mate, senator from Ohio, Judy Vance. And well, I don't know about that. In today's first update, I shared my take on all this situation. Yes, Vance was very much adequate in his recent televised interview. It was, I don't know, Fox News or CNN. I saw an episode when he was really, he was sharing understandable point of view in regards to Ukraine. And theoretically, maybe Bloomberg has some ground to predict or to assume that Vance may influence Trump in regards to Ukrainian crisis, and maybe future administration of in Washington, if Trump will win presidential race, maybe future administration will change its attitude from extreme hostility towards Russia towards a more adequate position, towards de-escalation. And I want to see that, obviously. All of us want, isn't it? I said many times before that there is no logical reason, nor reason at all that US should be hostile to Russia, and West and Russia should be in this difficult relationship. There is no reason for that. And we are in this difficult situation just because Western ruling class cannot accept objective reality that the world has changed and they can no longer dominate over the planet. That's all, really. If Western ruling class will come to their senses, if they will realize this objective reality, they can join this emerging multipolar world and play positive role in this world, not a negative one that they are playing now and used to play in last 3 to 4 decades, especially after collapse of Soviet Union, when they had the chance to prove that they are force for good by being dominant force in this world, but they failed, and they failed big time. And that's why, because of the failures of the Western ruling class, vast majority of the humanity is not just skeptical of Western ruling class, but I mean, people are hating Western ruling class. Inside the Western world, outside the Western world, just about everywhere, because everyone understands those people that are running, pulling the strings in the collective West. I mean, they are not good people. So, yet again, I don't know if Bloomberg is correct. I really want to see the escalation between Russia and the West. I want to see resolution to the Ukrainian crisis. But I don't know. Something is telling me that we should pay more attention to real actions, because in statements anything can be said, anything. But let's see what kind of policies Trump's administration will carry out if Trump-Vance tandem will win these upcoming presidential elections in the US. But if you ask me, I really hope to see the escalation, by the way. I mean, who not? Who don't? Isn't it? Anyways, let's continue. RIA Novosti's report here that according to Russian underground, Kiev regime is planning evacuation of the branches of the state institutions from also bureaucrats from the two areas of the Zaporozhye region, Orekhov and Gulyai-Pole. Orekhov and Gulyai-Pole directions. Let me show you this area, by the way. Orekhov is right opposite of this Rabotina settlement. This is Orekhov, by the way, here. This relatively small town. And this is, of course, Rabotina settlement that is under full Russian control now. And some reports are suggesting, some military channels are suggesting that Russian armed forces are becoming quite active in this direction once again, and maybe we are about to witness Russian offensive operations in this direction. It's certainly a possibility. So Orekhov is here, by the way, and Gulyai-Pole is on the eastern side from Orekhov. That's Gulyai-Pole. So according to Russian underground, the regime is evacuating governmental institutions, their archives, and bureaucrats from those areas. Maybe they know something about upcoming, possibly or allegedly upcoming Russian these local scale offensive operations. Who knows? That's also a possibility. TASS news agency is reporting that head of Russian General Staff Valery Gerasimov visited the headquarters of the Vostok group of forces. Vostok means east, by the way, east group of forces. Video is circulating on internet about this visit. Well, probably he listened to commanders, local commanders in this direction. Maybe he came to this area to give some top secret orders that needs to be said directly. I don't know. After all, by the way, Vostok group of forces are in charge of Zaporozhye direction also, I believe. So maybe this visit of Gerasimov to the line of contact, to the headquarters of Vostok Group of Forces, also can be seen as an indicator that Russian armed forces preparing some offensive operations in that direction. Also, interesting news from Vzгляд newspaper that, and I share this information on my Telegram also, by the way. So 15 million rubles for the first destroyed F-16s. That's a price. So Ural company that is located in Urals forests intends to pay a reward of 15 million rubles, approximately 170,000 US dollars, to Russian fighters when they destroy the first F-16 fighter jet in the special military operation zone. This was announced by the company's deputy executive director for social work, Ilya Potanin, in a video published by the Russian Defense Ministry. So this company is cooperating with the Russian Defense Ministry to transfer this award whenever F-16, US-made F-16 will be destroyed in the zone of special military operation. And because Russian Defense Ministry published this information, I think at this point probably it's only a matter of when, no longer if, F-16s will appear in the skies of Ukraine. Maybe some F-16s already are in Ukraine. Maybe. Possibly in parts, and they will be rebuilt now. And at some point in the near future, we will probably see them in action. And I believe Russian air defense systems, Russian fighter jets, fighter pilots, they are ready to give a good fight to their F-16s, especially Russian fighter pilots, by the way. Probably many of the pilots of Russian Su-30s, Su-27s, even Su-35s, nothing to be said about Su-57 5th gen fighter jet, or even Soviet era MiG-31 long-range interceptors, by the way. Pilots of these planes probably cannot wait to have an opportunity to take a shot at Western-made fighter jet, and I think they will have that opportunity. And of course, ground forces, by the way, air defense systems, operators of the air defense systems, they are also waiting. And they will also have their opportunity to take action against this great fourth generation US-made fighter jet, by the way. If anybody says that F-16 is crap, that person has no idea what he's talking about. He or she is talking about. F-16s are very capable fourth generation fighter jets, fighter bombers, I will say, because they are good at air-to-air combat, and they are good also on ground attack operations. And they prove themselves, by the way. I am not saying something controversial. And meanwhile, by the way, Russian air defense systems are continuing their work to neutralize aerial targets that formerly Kiev regime, in reality NATO, is deploying to the battle. And we have Russian Defense Ministry's report that during the previous 24 hours, Russian air defense systems shot down 6 US-made ATACMS missiles, 2 guided air bombs Hammers, 7 HIMARS missiles, also long range, but by the way, HIMARS launches several type of missiles. ATACMS also are launched from HIMARS MLRS launcher, although of course this HIMARS system has capability to launch some other maybe little short range missiles also, and 7 of those missiles were also intercepted together with their 6 ATACMS. 28 drones were intercepted also, and you might be surprised to hear this, but Russian air defense systems shut down Ukrainian Yak-52 plane. This is a sport. This is acrobatic plane, by the way, Yak-52. It was used for training purposes, and also this plane still until nowadays are used by many worldwide as an acrobatic plane to display some acrobatic figures in the air. Although Kyiv regime transformed some of their Yak-52s to a sort of interceptor of the drones. We all see videos, isn't it, when two-seated Yak-52s, I mean, one is a pilot and the second member of the crew is shooting with machine gun or something at the drones if they manage to find one. So I mean, very strange approach to the interceptions of the drones by Kyiv regime. But once again, Russian armed forces depleted air defense capabilities of the Kyiv regime, and out of desperation, Kyiv regime's military is using whatever they can use, including these Soviet-era acrobatic planes, Yak-52s. Let's continue, and RT is reporting that former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, reacted on a video that is circulating on internet when Azov neo-Nazi formation is executing wounded Russian soldier. I saw that video, by the way, but I did not publish on my Telegram because it's very graphic, and I try to avoid these extremely graphic videos to be published on my Telegram. Very rarely I do publish that kind of video. Well, Dmitry Medvedev also saw that video, and he said no mercy for Ukrainian neo-Nazi POW murderers. So no mercy to be shown towards Ukrainian neo-Nazis who murdered an unarmed Russian soldier. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev has said the only response that should follow is across-the-board executions, he added. And well, at least here in Russia, by the way, I don't think anybody will, or at least many people will argue that neo-Nazis, Ukrainian neo-Nazis, and mercenaries, foreign mercenaries that are fighting alongside of those neo-Nazis, there can be no mercy towards them. They cannot be seen as POWs. They are terrorists, mass murderers, and there should be a different approach towards them. And in this case, I'm 100% agree with Dmitry Medvedev. All those neo-Nazis should be neutralized. There can be no mercy towards mass murderers, 100%. 100%, by the way. And hopefully Russian troops will make sure that no neo-Nazi will end up being POW, because once you take someone as a POW, then you have to take care of that individual. It's better to make sure that neo-Nazis and foreign mercenaries would not become POWs. Just take them out on the spot. That's it. No mercy towards mass murderers and Nazis. That's it. This is position of former Russian president, and I understand this position absolutely. I have no mercy towards individuals that are committing atrocities against other human beings. And if you saw that video, by the way, you will understand my anger. A Russian soldier he was bleeding, basically. He was wounded or maybe under concussion. He did not fight. He did not open fire against towards enemy soldiers. He was basically in no position to fight. It's clearly visible from that video, and these Ukrainian Nazis just cold-bloodedly executed him. if it's nothing. So that kind of individuals definitely don't deserve any mercy, I believe. TASS news agencies are reporting that in European Parliament, some 63 so-called lawmakers are calling now Hungary to be stripped of the voting right. So they cannot digest, by the way, these sick individuals, sick Russophobes that the European Parliament is full of, and bureaucracy of the EU. Those sick Russophobes cannot digest that Orban is acting independent. He is not bowing down as other EU member state leaders towards crazy propaganda, Russophobia, and anti-Russian propaganda of the Western ruling class. Orban is not taking nonsense from Brussels and tries as much as he can to act based on interests of the Hungary's citizens and Hungary, and that's why he visited not just Kiev recently, but also Moscow and Beijing. But yet again, those Russophobes in European bureaucracy cannot digest that. They cannot have it. They want total demonization of the Russia and the Russians, and they are now in all arms against Orban. They are insulting Orban left and right and his government. They are trying to humiliate them, and now this initiative that they want Hungary to be stripped of its voting rights. And in EU, by the way, all decision-making process is based on consensus. If even one state is against any proposal, that proposal will not go down. Well, so now they want to get rid of this opposition from Hungary. I guess if they will manage to do it, by the way, I'm not quite sure that they will, but if that's what is going to happen, then next is Slovakia. And that will be example for every other country, and also that should be wake-up call for citizens of Hungary, for citizens of other EU member states, that EU is force for evil, force for bad. It's this organization that is acting as some sort of a quasi-state, was created not to benefit the citizens of the member states, but to centralize power in hands of Western ruling class and their puppets. That's all it is, man. And more people will realize that in the West, better for them, because they will have opportunity to fight back then if they are well informed. Anyways, let's continue. I guess the story of confrontation of the EU bureaucracy and Hungary will continue for quite long. And good luck to Hungary, by the way, and Orban's government, because they are up against totally degraded individuals that are capable of anything, any atrocity. They might even try to organize some assault on Hungary's prime minister or some other high-ranking officials of the Hungary. After all, Ukraine is right next to it, and they can use Ukrainian neo-Nazis or Ukrainian terrorists to take action against Hungary by maintaining Hungary's leadership, by maintaining plausible deniability, because they will say that they have nothing to do with it. I mean Western ruling class and bureaucracy of the EU. So Hungary's prime minister should increase his security big time, and other high-ranking officials also, including Foreign Minister of Hungary, Peter Szijjártó. And if I can give some advice to them, I will advise them never to travel, never again to travel to Ukraine, to keep controlled territory of the Ukraine, because it's not gonna be safe trip, most likely. And dear friends, before I continue, let me mention, if I may, that this small media project of mine is completely subscriber funded, and well, I will be immensely grateful, as I am always, if you will consider to support my work through with donation through PayPal, for example, or Boosty, or if you will subscribe to my Patreon page, where and become a Patreon, where I have a constant extra content on regular basis, constantly. And for example, I was planning to make this announcement tomorrow during the live stream on my YouTube channel, but I will mention it also today, that I want to make some changes. And for example, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I want to have second updates on my Patreon, while Tuesdays and Thursdays on YouTube and Rumble channels, that's second updates. And also, by the way, on Saturdays and Sundays, I want to make one news update, and that news update will be published on my Patreon page only. So on YouTube and Rumble on Saturdays and Sundays, I will have no news update. Although on Sunday, of course, I will continue to make traditional Sunday live streams. So I have 2 live streams, isn't it, on Wednesdays and Sundays. So I will continue to make these live streams. Although on Tuesday and Thursday, I will have second updates on YouTube and Rumble, and on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, second updates will be on Patreon, and on Saturdays and Sundays also. There will be no update on YouTube and Rumble. I will publish updates, news updates on Patreon. I hope I explain what I mean. So that's the changes that are coming up. Hopefully it will help me to generate additional interest towards my Patreon page, because unfortunately donations are less and less. Today, for example, it's like 5 o'clock now in the afternoon, Moscow time, and I had no donation, not even like $1 or something, and this work takes time, isn't it? So therefore, I have to focus on Patreon more, and I will have more news updates on Patreon, and also, of course, I will continue to make for Patreon this non-political extra content also, and reaction videos too. So it's gonna be a lot of content there. As my thank to all the members of our Patreon community who supports and allows me to continue this work. And by the way, of course, as I mentioned, I'm very grateful to everybody who ever supported me in this journey and continues to support. Thank you all very much. Thank you. That's been said, let's continue this work. And dear friends, I know it might be annoying when authors on different channels are talking about this topic of donations and stuff, but I mean, that's how independent media is operating, dear friends. If you want to watch channels that don't have any issues with their finances, there is plenty of examples, isn't it? Channels that are receiving money from governments or corporations, and because you don't like what you see there, that's why probably you are looking for alternative sources on information in independent media. And every independent media outlet, by the way, every independent media project that there is, totally dependent on supporters, on public support. That's why how they maintain independence. So it's not just my project, but this is the case with every other project also. Anyways, let's continue. And dear friends, I don't like to talk about this topic also, trust me. I hate it, but what can I do, man? If I had some general sponsor, I don't know, man. If then I will never even mention donations and stuff, but I don't have a general sponsor. I don't have advertising on my channels, so it is what it is. Anyways, let's continue. TASS News Agency is reporting that today, in the next few hours, if Macron will most likely accept the resignation of the Prime Minister of France, Gabriel Attal, or Attal. Earlier there was reports that Macron refused to accept resignation of the Attal, but today AFP news agency is reporting, France Press basically is reporting that Macron probably will accept his resignation. Maybe he already did, because it's 5 o'clock here in Moscow, in France, in Paris. Now probably it's like 3 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's like 2 or 3 hours difference, isn't it, between Moscow and Paris? So maybe he already accepted and I just did not yet see information about it. But that's the predictions that France Press come up with and Russian media published about 3 o'clock Moscow time in the afternoon. Let's continue. And well, India summons Ukraine's envoy over Zelensky's remarks on Modi-Putin hug, according to reports. So New Delhi has reportedly summoned the ambassador of Ukraine over comments made by Vladimir Zelensky last week about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's meeting in Moscow with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. The summoning of the Ukrainian diplomat by the Indian Foreign Ministry on Monday indicates New Delhi's displeasure with Zelensky's comments against Modi. Newspaper The Economic Times reported on Tuesday. It has also postponed a meeting on culture with Ukraine against the backdrop of the incident, according to the report. Last week, Zelensky called the visit to Moscow Modi's first since the outbreak of the conflict, and also his first bilateral foreign visit after assuming their office for the third time, a devastating blow to their peace effort. The Indian premier visit coincided with a deadly strike at the Children's Hospital in Kiev, where missile killed 2 people and injured dozens more, which Zelensky blamed on Russia. And not just Zelensky, by the way. Western propaganda outlets went full in on that missile attack story. I believe it was Western air defense systems missile, and I don't really care what Zelensky and his criminal associates or their Western masters have to say at all. I just don't care about it. They cannot be trusted. And there is so many videos on internet, by the way, when air defense missiles of the Kiev regime are targeting buildings all around the Kiev and other towns and cities in Ukraine. So if you ask me, it was Zelensky, it was air defense systems that formally Kiev regime is operating with, in reality NATO troops most likely. After all, if a Russian cruise missile hit that area, no building should stand there, right? No building should survive not being destroyed in radius of, I don't know, 200 meters, probably, if not more. but no building collapsed. There was some facade damage on buildings in that area, but I did not see any collapsed building, right? And if you take air defense missile, if you take warhead and also fuel that it has, well, that's a whole different story. It will explode, it will make a huge explosion, it will damage facades of the buildings, but it will not demolish the buildings. It will not have that much force to demolish building, but facades of the buildings will be damaged for sure. And that's what exactly happened in that instance. In my understanding, by the way, yet again, I'm no military expert. I said it many times, but that's my understanding of their situation. And yet again, Zelensky's regime cannot be trusted ever, or their Western masters. So why should anybody trust them now? Really, I mean. And yes, that's the information. That's the information that ambassador of Kiev was summoned by India's foreign ministry. And it is clear, by the way, that Zelensky and his associates, they are losing ground on daily basis. India is a major country in this world, and to destroy relationships with one of the major countries in this world, I mean, that's not gonna help. That's definitely not gonna help Zelensky, that's for sure, or Kiev regime in general. And India will remember actions and the statements of not just Zelensky, but many other high-ranking officials, by the way, in Ukraine. They went full crazy mode during Modi's visit to Russia, and I'm quite sure India's leadership knows perfectly well what words were used towards India and Indian prime minister by Ukrainian officials, so-called Ukrainian officials, by the way. It's puppets of the Western ruling class in reality, that have no care about Ukraine or citizens of Ukraine. RIA Novosti is reporting that according to Turkish Energo Minister Alparslan Bayraktar, Russia's proposal to build a new nuclear power station in Turkey looks much more preferable right now for Turkey, for Turkish side, than proposals from competitors of the Russia. And the competitors of Russia, we should think first of all French companies and US will also, of course, will try to get involved in this business, obviously, and the US will use, of course, its influence over the Turkey, and same will try. I mean, Paris will try the same. Although relationships between Turkey and France are extremely bad at this point, so therefore French companies never had the chance, but US companies most likely yes. But still. Proposal from Rosatom looks preferable for our Turkish side, and after all, it does make all the sense to give a contract to build new nuclear power station to Russian side, because Rosatom already building a nuclear power station in Turkey, Attal nuclear power station. So it's not just building this station itself, but Russian side is providing service of teaching Turkish specialists to educate them how to operate with the nuclear power station and so on. And of course, in terms of maintenance, Russia will be engaged with this Attal power station anyways for decades to come, and therefore it does make all the sense to continue cooperation with Rosatom, despite possible pressure from Washington or from whichever other party. And of course, it's a success for Russia. By the way, it's also worth noticing that it's success for Russian economy, for Russian scientific world, and acknowledgement that Russian Rosatom is top player on the market of civilian nuclear energy. And RIA Novosti is reporting that Roskomnadzor demanded from YouTube more than 200 Russian channels to be unblocked, channels from Russia, channels that belong to Russian media outlets, to Russian public figures, artists, sportsmen, and so on. Number is huge. Number is huge. In this information, by the way, there is nothing is said about what Roskomnadzor will do if demand is not met by YouTube. No threats. Also, that YouTube, Russian side will take down YouTube. So interesting. And dear friends, this is Roskomnadzor. Let me translate full name of this state institution, by the way, for better understanding. So it's a federal service for supervision in the field of communication, information technologies, and mass communications. So this institution is in charge of internet also, I guess. It's monitoring internet and situation there. And they are demanding now from YouTube more than 200 channels to be unblocked. And I wonder what will happen if YouTube will refuse to do it. Most likely they will refuse. I don't know. Let's hope. I mean, in today's first update, I mentioned the comments from the Dmitry Peskov, press spokesman of the Russian president, when he said that Moscow has no plans to create some obstacles for YouTube. And hopefully that's the official position, because there are many people in Russia, including in Russian parliament, in Russian bureaucracy, that are openly demanding YouTube to be blocked, and I disagree with that position. I think all the platforms, blocking of the platforms is a wrong approach. I think in field of news and political commentary, there should be competition. There should be competition, and the Russian there is no Russian media left on YouTube, really, but Russian commentators should try their best, including myself, by the way, to be on, as informative as possible, as real as possible, and then let the people decide, let their community decide where is the true. So it's always better to compete, by the way, because blocking their platforms, I mean, it's a weak approach, I think. But anyways, that's the information that we have. I'm sharing with you, and I'm not gonna be surprised if this institution, Roskomnadzor, will demand YouTube to be blocked if these 200 plus channels are not unblocked by YouTube. But yet again, I mean, Kremlin's position is clear, isn't it? Peskov was very clear that Kremlin has no plans about creating some issues for YouTube. I understand it's not Kremlin's job, by the way. I mean, Putin, why should Putin care about YouTube, for God's sake, man? He has plenty of work to do. But hopefully president's administration will influence the situation and YouTube would not be blocked. That's all I want to say, because I prefer to compete, because I think that's the right way to go. And this is it for now. Quite long update, dear friends, but therefore tomorrow's first update will be short, I guess. And that's why these second updates are good, by the way. It will allow me to eventually balance these updates in the way that each of them will be around like 30 minutes, as many members of our community are, asking to do. So let's see. Hopefully you will find this video interesting, informative, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary. This is the only way we can somehow influence this extremely aggressive YouTube's algorithm, and maybe with more likes and comments I will manage to break through shadow ban that my channel is on YouTube. And dear friends, if you have not seen today's first update, please check that video also. It was a walk and talk type of video, and I explained why. So yes, hopefully you will find this update interesting. And that's it. If you want to support, all the links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. Have a great day, take care, and see you tomorrow.